if the team themselves are not doing some of these things we're going to talk about, it's probably because the leader's not doing those things.
right.
You know?
That's right.
And so there's this axiom that says speed of the leader, speed of the team.
Mm-hmm.
What it means is whatever the leader does, at the pace the leader runs, at the energy the leader gives to it, that's what the team is going to look like. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Hey, and welcome back to the 7th and final episode in the series on sports and worship leading. This is the Worship Catalyst podcast. Stephen Hanley over there, the legend. I'm Austin Ryan. Today we're going to be discussing the 6 signature traits of highly effective worship leaders, and we'll be discussing this through the lens of a captain, not a boat captain or captain in Tennille, for those of you who are super old. But we are talking about a sports team captain. There's at least 6 characteristics that make him or her a great leader. And we want to get into those today. So, Stephen, have you ever been the team captain of any team?
I don't think so. I definitely haven't been the captain of a boat or a ship.
You haven't?
No, not that I can remember.
Is it possible that, in the college years, you were the captain of a boat and you just don't remember?
Maybe, yeah. Those college years. I see what you're going at there. Yeah, Christian University. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I've ever been like the captain, like walking out in the field with a C on the chest. But my senior year of high school, I was like the number one player on the team. So that came with like kind of some captain like responsibilities.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you this, probably the greatest honor is I was the mascot of my football team.
The mascot?
Not of my football team, of my school.
And what was the mascot?
We were the Knights.
Okay, so tell me about the uniform, the costume.
Yeah, one of my favorite things was running out on the field, but I wasn't suited up to hit somebody. I was wearing armor, and they didn't give me a horse.
Did you have a helmet or a face mask?
Helmet. You couldn't see. My goal was to try to be really secretive and no one to know who I was. And I was kind of scrawny. I was kind of skinny.
Yeah,
skinny
so that's
kid.
just like a knight, right?
Yeah, so I bought the biggest muscle
knight.
shirt I could find.
Oh, yeah, very
I threw
cool.
that on, put a long sleeve shirt over it. I looked huge.
Yeah.
And
so walking down the hallway at school, did people know that you were the knight? Or was that
but I always denied it. And I worked really hard. Like the mascot team, the pep squad, I think.
When you have a mascot team?
Yeah, so it was like me and like another guy in like a morph suit. You know,
it's
those
like
morph
a
suits.
two-person team.
Yeah. We were out there together with like the dance team and the cheerleaders, just acting the fool and looking. No one could see our faces.
Did you ever in the basketball? Did you ever do like the trampoline double flip slam?
No,
dunk
they
thing?
didn't make me do that. But that missed opportunity.
Yeah,
I probably would have tried and broken something. But I do remember we worked really hard to try to keep it secret, and everyone knew, but it was like this unspoken thing. Like we're not going to ever say that it's us. And the yearbook came out, and they put my name next to the night. Picture of me in the night costume with my name on it. I was like, we've worked so hard to keep this a secret.
Right.
So that's probably one of the ways I've been a captain of the school. With
that was as close as you were to a boat captain. Was actually being a knight.
That's right. Just being a knight. Didn't have a horse or a sword.
Okay.
But give me a helmet.
That's a kind of a night light.
Yeah. Night light. Yes.
So the thing that's unique, I think, about captains on sports teams is that they're chosen by the team. Mm-hmm. Isn't that unique? Or it's like profound, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it's so honoring. It's not like the coach says, you're the captain. Mm-hmm. It's like the players go, no, that dude's definitely the captain.
Yeah.
And I think when you think about worship leading and being the worship leader, I think there's like an expectation with titles sometimes that we have that people should honor us because of our title. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because like, no, I'm the leader. I'm the ministry representative. I'm the creative arts pastor or leader or whatever. Well, John Maxwell talks about this a lot. He talks about these 5 levels of leadership. Mm-hmm. And if we're expecting people to follow us because of our role, then we are only level 1 leaders in their minds. But we want to work our way up that ladder. And that goes from expecting people to follow us because of our role to people following us because they like us, which is a great second level. Like they actually have endearment to us in some way, and they'll follow us farther and longer because of that. Up to being the next level of leader in their minds, which is you've done something great for the organization. Like when you came along, the church was like this, but now you've been here a couple of years and it's like this. And so they follow you even farther and better and deeper because they know that you're good at what you do. And then there's like this fourth level of leadership in all of that where you haven't just made a difference in the organization. You haven't changed the organization. You've changed them. And when someone's life is changed and made better because of your impact in their life, they'll follow you anywhere.
Right.
I mean, they'll follow you to another city.
Right.
They'll follow you to another, sports team. They'll do whatever they have to do to stay in your life.
That's right.
You see that over and over again.
Totally, yeah.
But it's only when you've achieved in their minds and hearts that level 4. Level 5 is kind of a guru level that only like a few people ever, that's hard to attain. They have
like
to
me as the mascot. That's really hard
level
to attain.
5.
Yeah.
Level
that was
5.
a level 5 moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So when we think about being captains of the sport of the band or the captains of the creative arts ministry or whatever, we don't ever just want to say, hey guys, we're the captain. What we want to do is live in such a way and act in such a way and do things in such a way that people would point at us and go, no, that guy's our leader.
Yeah.
Not because he's got a title, not because he gets a little bit of a paycheck,
Right.
but because he leads us. Like he's the one that sets the tone.
Yeah.
And so that's what this podcast is all about.
Yeah.
It's talking about 6 things that we should always be doing that will help us attain a leadership level in people's minds that they will make us the captain.
Yep.
Not that we're going to like seize captainship.
Yeah, that's good, man. I think the cliche, that we hear is like if you walk in the room and there's a guy saying like, I'm the leader, you have to announce yourself as a leader. You're not the leader.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Like
yeah.
you never, the leaders are the ones that people are following. You see it. It's taking place and put the work in. It's not the ones that have to come and be like, I'm the guy. You know, that guy's never really the real leader.
That's true. That's a really good point. So as we talk through these 6 things, what I want us to do is like analyze how we're doing with those, like personally, how every person's doing that personally. And then what's even more, I think, telling in all of this is how people would see you living these things out as a leader. Because sometimes you can see if the team themselves are not doing some of these things we're going to talk about, it's probably because the leader's not doing those things.
Right.
That's right. And so there's this axiom that says speed of the leader, speed of the team. What it means is whatever the leader does at the pace the leader runs, at the energy the leader gives to it, that's what the team is going to look like. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And so, all right, let's get started.
Let's go.
So what are the 6? What's the first one?
I think the first one is putting others first. There's this aspect of leadership that has nothing to do with like platforming yourself. I think it's always starting with lifting others up.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to go far. Point at Jesus. I mean, that was literally what we see in Philippians 2. It talks about counting others more significant than yourself. Take on the mind of yours as Christ Jesus, that though he was in the form of God, did not count equality with God something to be grasped, but became a servant.
Yeah.
And, the one being God that has the right to platform himself.
Yeah.
Creation all points to him, came to serve. That should tell us something about leadership, is that, man, if Christ coming on mission to save humanity didn't come to just announce himself, but came to wash his disciples' feet.
That's amazing.
But like so often we think of leadership as like, I'm the guy, like I'm in front. And so I think a good principle is always, and I think I heard this the other day and it just really stuck with me, is we're not sinking ships, we're raising boats. Meaning that my leadership, I'm trying to uplift everyone up. I'm not trying to sink other ships as like a competitive thing. Get out
so
of my way.
So that I can be higher.
Yeah, like I'm the leader, so get me up top. No, I am trying to raise all boats with me and even higher than me. And I think this is personally just an issue I think that I struggle with a lot of the time, with the temptation of feeling like, when I walk into a room, you almost have to prove yourself, or you have to earn people's respect and or get affirmations as a leader, and really like taking that mind of Christ. No, I'm here to serve my team.
Yeah.
I'm here to serve my church.
Yeah.
And that's true leadership.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good, man. So the first one is put others first.
Right.
Like show a lot of humility on
Right.
that. Another one is check in on the team. If you look around a locker room in sports, the captains are the ones who have been going from locker to locker to locker to locker, seeing how everybody's doing. And they're not just checking in on, hey man, you ready? Let's go get this. No, they're the ones going, hey man, how's your wife today? Or how your kids doing? Or, hey man, you told me about that thing you had going on in your kid's life. How's that going? And as leaders, like the things that will endear us and put us in that position of captainhood in the group is when we don't just care about someone's talent,
Right.
or what they bring to the table, but we really put ourselves in a position of going, I'm here because I care about you, like personally. And like you were saying, we want to lift them up in whatever way, but it's not. But the reason is the second one, and that is because I care about you. So I'm going to spend time, in your world, doing the things with you, checking in on you on a consistent basis. Now that can be texting a lot, hey, how's it going? You having a good week? I was just praying for you, or all that kind of stuff. It could be, hanging out with people, depending on how much time and energy you have to put towards that. But some way that you can consistently let people know you care about them.
Yeah. And I mean, we're obviously more likely to follow the leader that cares about us. That,
Sure.
And so I think that just speaks volumes because, like you said, so much of our time is, or our focus could be on almost using people to accomplish the mission. So not necessarily, that sounds really bad, but, we want to use people's gifts. God has given them to serve the church. That's what we're doing. But it's really easy to be talent focused and accomplishment focused and forget that we're also shepherds and meant to care for the sheep.
Yeah.
I think that's just got to be a step in our mind. How am I caring for my team? It looks different for everybody on the team.
Yeah.
But you have to really be caring and checking in.
Now the third one is optimism. Okay, like every captain believes the team can win.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not talking personal yet. We'll get to that, but the believes the team can win. So how does that play out in worship leading, you think?
So I think that optimism, believing you can win, has a lot to do with being positive and always encouraging, and calling out what's best in people, and also not leaning into the pessimistic conversations. That's really easy to get into in a team because you're doing the same thing a lot of the time, and it's really easy to get cynical and start, making fun of things, or even like worship songs and be like, we'll never do that song, and speaking about things in a negative connotation, but always trying to be encouraging, trying to speak in a positive light, being that optimistic, hey, like we're here to win. I believe in this team and I know we can do it.
It's amazing how powerful cynicism is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like when people get into that place, and I have been cynical about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And when you get into that place, it's so difficult to ever achieve your goal, your mission, because you're just caught up in these conversations and thoughts of, this doesn't matter anyway. It almost gets to the point of what difference does this make?
Yeah.
But if you have a leader, a captain on the team who's like, hey guys, we're rising up above that and we're going to go to God and we're going to take other people with us. And we know we can because we know God can. And like, if we come into the team, like with that kind of energy, optimism, positivity, and just rejecting negativity and cynicism, I tell you what, that will raise the team to a level of hope and promise. And I think that when sports teams crown a captain, that captain, I promise you, is never negative.
Right.
It's because that captain has been hitting people on the shoulder pads or high-fiving them or whatever they do to, get them pumped up.
Yeah, he's calling for the best in people. And I think just another note on that, if you're on a team and you're trying to be positive, it's really easy sometimes to get discouraged when your team is still negative, or they even point out in you, like, oh man, you're this bubbly, positive guy that, and they start saying like kind of comments. I would just say, stay consistent, like keep being positive, because eventually that positivity, that belief in your team will trump that negative attitude, and that just becomes the culture. You're setting that tone.
Have you ever listened to when they mic people up on certain sports or whatever, and the captain gives a pregame speech?
Oh my gosh.
They're just like,
you want to put some pads on and
you
go.
do, man. Just they're so positive and so excited and so like, we are going to climb this mountain and we're going to win this thing, And man, that's always the person that you want in charge. Go up the hill. I'm right behind you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, what's the fourth one?
Yeah. So we talked about an optimism and belief as the last one. That's kind of like a confidence in your team, but I think there's a personal confidence that you need to have as the leader. I think then working on not believing these insecurities or leaning out of the insecurities that you have. And part of that, and we'll kind of hit on this in a minute with the next point, but part of that is like recognizing maybe where you're not good and admitting those things.
Yeah.
Being confident in what you're good at.
Yeah, that's good.
So if you're you may not be the best like communicator, obviously trying to be the best you can and improve, but realizing like there might be somebody on the team that is better at that than you and like pushing them to excel. I see this a lot in like different roles within a team. If we're talking like admin roles and more of the music directing role and the tech role, like you're not gifted in all those things.
Yeah.
But God is bringing people to build something better as a team. And so be confident what God has gifted you in your lane.
Yeah.
Grow in all areas and work to be better, but don't try to just like lead out of insecurity and like be threatened by other people taking leadership responsibility.
Isn't it interesting how creative artists sometimes have a deep sense of insecurity?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so a lot of worship leaders that I've interacted with and coached and mentored and stuff, they just have a deep sense of I'm not good enough for this.
Yeah.
And I'm almost a fear, but definitely a really clear awareness of what they're not good at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think part of that is just, we're born with levels of confidence and we're personal confidence, and we're also nurtured into that. Like I was fortunate to have a dad who told me all the time I could do anything. And like he put me in positions to be successful all the way through. And then God provided more opportunities. I've just had people in my life who have told me it's you're a leader, or you're good at this or that. But man, people that haven't had that or have had the opposite of that, like your mom, for instance, like we talked about in a previous episode, who told you you're just not, that you're mediocre at everything.
Yeah, right. That was her exact words.
That was a joke.
Yeah.
That was a joke. But seriously, there's so many people I talk to who have had that background, and when that occurs, they come into a leadership role fearful that they're going to mess up the leadership role.
Right.
Okay. I love what you're saying about letting other people be strong at the things that they're naturally strong at, and you focus on the things. And so there's like that self-awareness is so important. We have a course on this actually on the website, a free course, 7 Roles of Worship Ministry or 7 Roles of Worship Leader.
Yep.
And free course on worshipcatalyst.com. And any leader can actually, it helps you identify your unique gifting in the team. And then it helps you to understand who around you to bring up to various other roles, so that you don't have to feel like you're never going to be good at everything, but you're good at least one thing or 2 things. You wouldn't have the job. You wouldn't be in that role if you weren't naturally good at 1 or 2 things. So lean into those things, and then let other people, just take a deep breath and realize that it's not a one-person show. It's a team that God's bringing together.
That's right.
And so that's what that course helps you to do.
Yeah, and another angle of that, I forget who said this, so maybe someone can let us know where this quote comes up. This is not me, but talking about like leadership is disappointing people at a rate they can tolerate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, that's really uncomfortable to admit, because it means we're letting people down.
Yeah.
But we know that we're going to fail people. And so part of that personal confidence is realizing that you're not perfect.
Yeah.
But you can walk in your failure and success and be confident that, man, we're all growing, and I'm privileged to lead this team. I'm going to fail. I'm going to let them down.
Yeah.
Own that stuff.
Yeah.
Don't ignore it. Don't be the type of leader that points at others and blames. Own that stuff when you make mistakes.
Yeah.
But be confident knowing that God has put me here to do something with this team and this church. And I'm going to spend more of my time focusing on what He's gifted me in, and not worry about the insecurities as much. I'm going to deal with them and confess them and work through them. But I'm not going to let that affect what God has called me to do.
I realize that that's easier said than done for people who suffer with deep insecurity.
Yeah.
And so there's got to be a lot of prayer and, just yielding all of that to God, to
100%.
to let Him help through that.
Yeah.
So the fifth characteristic of a captain, of a worship ministry leader, is authenticity and honesty. And this is so difficult, but if you look at great leaders, they're just open. Like, here's my life, and you can come in, you can be a part of it and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not trying to be perfect, because I'm not. I'm just, I am who I am, and I'm gonna let you know my flaws. I'm gonna let you know my strengths, and I'm gonna be honest with you and your, where you are in your journey. And there's something about that authenticity that doesn't have this high wall that I think causes people to want to follow you.
Yeah.
So I think that's the fifth one.
Yeah, that's good. And I've been on teams where, or followed leaders. I've probably been this leader, in my life, where I'm afraid of being honest. I'm afraid of being authentic. The leader is afraid of that.
Yeah.
And we know what that leads to. It leads to a team that's not being honest and authentic. And so part of your role as the leader is to model that by sharing things like, hey guys, I'm really struggling today before this set. Like, I don't feel like singing these songs.
Yeah.
I don't. And what that does is that bassist that's struggling with the same thing, he sees that and he's like, oh, like, it's okay to feel that way.
Yeah.
And then you say, as the leader, regardless of me feeling that way, like, we're still called to do this. We're still called to, like, we have this great privilege.
Yeah.
So let's lean into that versus how we feel. And like, that's just modeling. So as you're honest and vulnerable and you're authentic with what's actually going on, people are like, will ride with you in that place,
So the last one, the sixth one, the captain characteristic, as well as a leader, worship leader, is, we've talked about this through most of this series, and that is hard work.
Yep.
Man, leaders work hard. In fact, leaders are probably the hardest workers. And like I said at the beginning, speed of the leader, speed of the team. And so when teams are picking out the leaders, and when worship teams are kind of like either acknowledging you as the leader or just acknowledging you as a title, they're looking to see if you have put in the time.
Yeah.
If you're showing up ready, if you're showing up to ready to roll every week, and putting in the hard work and making yourself better and better and better at music, at time spent with them, at everything we talked about.
Yeah.
Like, it is a disciplined focus of the team.
Yeah.
And I promise you, if you're like that, then people will follow. They really will.
Yeah. And I think there's just this unfortunate rhythm that seems to be happening in ministry now, where there's just a view of ministers as like lazy, or leaders as lazy.
You only work on Sunday.
Yeah. They're playing golf all the time. And unfortunately, like,
oh my gosh.
I know,
can I tell you a story real quick?
Please.
I got invited to play in this fundraiser golf tournament a few months ago. So I show up, and I'm a really bad golfer. Okay. I used to be really good. I didn't play for 15 years,
You can hang.
So I go out and I hit the opening drive straight down the middle, super long. And the guy goes, well, I can tell you're a pastor.
Oh my gosh.
The guy I was paired with. That's how we started our relationship.
Nice.
He goes, it's clear that you're a pastor.
Oh gosh. You just get in the car. And leave. You just don't even play.
Enough of that. He found out pretty soon like, that wasn't a true.
Oh man, you spend more time. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Yeah. I think, unfortunately, that stereotype, worship leaders have like helped confirm that in some cases.
They have.
Right. Where they show up late. They're not prepared.
Yes.
They come fumbling in.
Yeah.
They have excuses.
Skip staff meeting.
They're like, their calendar's a mess. They miss meetings. They don't follow up with team members.
They get the music out on Saturday night.
Gosh. Yeah. And I think the more we do that stuff, it just builds this lazy culture and this non-caring culture. And I think it's so important that we just strive to work. And we talked about this being generational too.
Yeah.
Like, if you have older people on your team, there's no chance. Zero. You might have a couple millennials and some Gen Zs get on board with, hey man, we're all cool. Like, we can be late. But you got somebody that's a little older than you on that team. There's no chance they follow you. But I think it's just a great principle, obviously, that effective leaders are going to be the hardest workers.
Yeah.
And that can't become an idol. We need to know how to turn it on and turn it off. But man, we got to work really hard.
All right, here we go. That is 6 characteristics of captains and strong worship leaders. Here they are: putting others first, checking in on everybody, optimism, believing you can win, personal confidence, honesty and authenticity, and hard work. That's it, man. We did it.
We did it.
This is it. We'll be back soon with another series on the Worship Catalyst podcast. Now, be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss it when it comes out. Also, as always, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Worship Catalyst, and you'll be caught up with everything. And check out more of our resources like we talked about earlier at worshipcatalyst.com. It's been a privilege to talk through these worship leader concepts with you, and we pray that it has helped you become more skilled at leadership and at life. So thanks, Stephen. Good to have you, man.
Pleasure, man. It's been a joy.
We'll see you next time. Blessings.